Hi.
Welcome to hashtag This Is Me, Stories of Living Heart First, a listening series by ARC, a rainbow collective. Here we hold space for the tender, strange, and powerful ways in which people live creatively, love freely, and move through the world with heart first. In this noisy world, we are tuning into something deeper, who we are beneath the performance, the product, the labels. Today, I'm joined by Rhea. Okay, how would you introduce yourself without mentioning your job or role?
So I'm Rhea. How would I introduce myself? I feel like I'm many different people in one. Um, I like a lot of things and I like a lot of things that are very different from each other. But I think some things that are standard across everything that I do are just like natural spaces, wildlife, and I really like people. I really, really like people. I know that people can be really flawed and really terrible also, but I love them. Yeah, I think that's how I would describe myself. I love places, people, and animals.
What feels like home to you right now in your body, your life, and your art?
That's a difficult question. I think it's something I think about a lot also. In that sometimes I can go to home, which is Delhi, I guess, where I grew up, and it doesn't really feel like home. Then I can go to a place like Himachal, which I never lived in, but can feel a lot like home. And then I'll come back to Goa, where I have been, where I'm from, and I've been for so many years now, and I can feel really untethered from it. But I think that like maybe home for me kind of is like myself now. I think I've learned that uh, wherever I am, I could be right here on the river. I could be, at someone else's house, or I could be in a place that's really familiar or really unfamiliar to me. And I think it's like I can just kind of retreat into myself, and then that kind of feels like home. I don't know if that's an adaptation to never really feeling like I'm home, but yeah, I think that's what it is. I think home is inside me a lot. Yeah, inside my head somewhere. Yeah. In my art, I feel like I'm not fully sure what that question means, but again, I feel like I always hesitate to call myself an artist. So I'm not sure what my art is. Um, but I do definitely like, I think when I'm, say, making maps, I think there's um, like an element of art always to map making.
What's one memory or moment that shaped the way you see the world today?
I wouldn't say that there's a single moment or a single memory. I'm actually really shocked when people say that, when they're like, this was the turning point in my life, or this happened and it completely changed who I was. But I would say there's been a lot. I think there's been not just like moments and like memories, I guess, but like people and places. I think one thing that really stands out to me is maybe the time I volunteered with sea turtles in Chennai, and like just seeing baby turtles, like these really tiny baby turtles, and then the way they like run to this terrifying ocean. Like the East Coast has really terrifying like waves, and I feel like that was definitely like a big moment for me. But then also like the first time I interacted with an elephant,
Hmm.
um I think the first time I fell in love, the first time I fell out of love, the people I've met, I think in some way I am like a combination of all those people and all those places and so many memories. So yeah, I don't know if there's a single one. So I guess with the turtles, it was maybe a little more dramatic, where it was just, kind of, I was also very much, I guess, like the baby turtle. I had just graduated from my undergrad and I was very confused about what I wanted to do with my life. And I think I was really scared about like completely switching course to something that I really cared about versus what I'd studied. um and I don't know, maybe I don't know if it's a metaphor that came up later in my life because people asked me what was the turning point, but I do remember it being really like, just there was something really crazy about these like tiny animals that you look at them and you think that's so helpless and I have to like protect their nest, and they're going extinct and all of these things. And so but then to like watch the kind of determination with which they run into what is really for them like this great unknown, like terrifying thing. And like, I mean, statistics show that most of them are not even going to survive it. So yeah, so I'd say like that was, it was almost inspiring, like baby turtles just kind of going for it. But yeah, that I would say that was definitely something that stuck with me. And I think whenever I'm really scared of like a big change or like diving into something that I'm pretty sure is not going to go too well for me, but it seems like something I want to do or I have to do, like um to like take that next step, I kind of like, I do think about those baby turtles and the way they run. Yeah.
What are you learning to listen to right now?
I think I always listen to myself, but I think it's more learning to trust what I'm hearing right now. I think uh, in the past, I think I've kind of, I don't know if it was an unlearning that uh, like sometimes my gut is just right. I think I've started to kind of figure that out again, that um, it's good to just kind of tune into yourself and then trust it,
Hmm.
because I don't know. I guess like sometimes I'll think of something, or I'll have an idea and I'm like, this is great. This is a great idea. And then that sort of, you know, terrible little voice kind of creeps in that goes like, is it really such a good idea? What are other people going to think, or things like that? Or, you know, I'll do something and I'll see someone react and I'll instantly be like, oh no, I said the wrong thing or I did the wrong thing. But it's like I'm learning a little bit to kind of just listen to my intuition a little bit and then trust it.
Is there a sound, silence, or a song that has stayed with you lately?
I mean, I think I would say there's been a lot of silence lately. I think um, I've been very consciously also spending time on my own. Even when I'm with people, I'm kind of making sure I'm taking time to kind of check in with myself and take a little bit of space on my own. And I have typically a very chatty brain. And sometimes if I'm alone, honestly, that chattiness will be, it'll be vocal. I'll just be talking to myself constantly, or like making up scenarios in my head. And I've been trying really consciously to not do that lately, to just kind of like uh, be quiet, like, and just let it be more about the feeling than the words. Because sometimes I feel like I have a tendency to maybe put everything into words, but words can be so limiting. And I've realized actually since I've been writing a little bit more that like I can't do that so much. Like I can't just go into my head and, you know, dream so much, or like talk to myself when I'm writing, because I have to be like focused on what's happening. And so I've been finding like even though there's obviously a lot of like traffic or noise or general sounds around me, I've really been enjoying the sound of like just like the calmness of silence, even if it's just in a tiny periphery around me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the rain. I think I've really enjoyed the sound of the rain this year. It's been really nice. And like knowing when the rain is coming just by the softness of it and then sudden like chaos. Yeah, I think those are my sounds right now.
How do you know when it's time to pause or to express?
Do you know? I mean, okay, how do I know when it's time to pause? I think sometimes I wouldn't say I'm really good at this, but I've kind of realized that it's really important to pause when someone else is speaking or should be speaking. I think sometimes even like not just like a human being, but sometimes it's good to just like stop, take stock of your surroundings and pause, you know, like see what the environment around you or the people around you are saying. I think for a lot of us, like as someone's talking, our tendency is to like, okay, what do we say next, or what, like how am I supposed to be reacting to this or whatever, versus really just like pausing, like let things happen around you and then like take stock of it. You don't have to respond immediately, you don't have to react to everything instantly. So I think, yeah, I think my best pauses are, or like the best time for me to pause is really when I realize that I should be listening a little bit when someone else is speaking. Yeah.
And to express?
Hmm. Maybe after that pause, I've like thought a little bit. Okay, the best time to express. Uh, I mean, I think I'm a big feelings person. So I think sometimes it's like a lot of my expression comes just because I'm feeling a lot of things. You know, there's either a lot of sadness or rage or joy inside me, and I really want to like express it. But honestly, actually, no, scratch that. I think it's mostly when I'm feeling like a big negative, in quotation marks, negative feeling that I tend to express. So I tend to write more or um, create more, I think, when I'm really angry or really sad or like hurt, or you know, something like big insecurity comes up and I'm like, wow, suddenly I feel like I should journal. And then I've kind of realized though that like sometimes like in that process I kind of forget about the big joys or even the little joys. But like, you know, it's, I think maybe I'd like to be a little more conscious about expressing the like good stuff as well, when things feel secure, when things feel safe or comfortable or happy. Like I think that is a good time to express as well, just so that in the grander scheme of my life, if I look back at it, I'm not like looking at journal entries of anger and sadness all the time, and like all of my work or everything I create isn't maybe defined by like, I don't know, drama and chaos, but also like some like happy, calm, like truly like ecstatic moments. Yeah, and there are plenty of those. I have to say, there are plenty of those. It's just about like really stopping and looking for them, and then
Hmm.
expressing them when they happen. Yeah.
Yeah. How does your queerness or your way of being different show up in how you live and create?
I like, I don't know if it like where it comes from per se, but it's something that I've always really believed in, is sort of, even like, I call it choosing love, which sounds really dramatic and meta and whatever, but it's like, it's a philosophy that I think I've scribbled into notebooks since I was really young, which was that like whatever happens, like you can kind of choose your own reaction to things. You can choose the way you work on something. You can choose your process, and that maybe the like whenever I'm struggling to decide, you know, should I do it this way, should I do it that way, whether it's, you know, should I interact with this person in this way or that way, should I respond to this text message I've got in this way or that way, or should I like, you know, do this project or create this art or, you know, whatever, make this project report in this way or that way, I just remind myself to choose love.
Hmm.
And I think that's like something that I've always tried to do, and I've realized it's actually a really hard thing to do, to always choose the most gentle or the most loving response to everything that's happening, because like it's also not always like the quick reward choice. It's like often the one that requires a lot more work. It requires a lot more like taking a step back and not like reacting instantly to say that text message or whatever it is that's triggering you. um but yeah, I think like even with my work, I really do try um to, and like it's weird because I think a lot of my work involves things like policy and, you know, environmental destruction and things like that. And so it's a difficult space to really choose love and be like, you know, at the end of the day everyone's having this like really crazy difficult human experience. And um like it's I think it's sometimes difficult to choose love when you see something happening that doesn't feel very loving and like feels like it goes against something you believe in. But even if it kind of like gets me really worked up, I think I really try to being the key word, put myself in a space where I'm still operating out of love. And like it's not always maybe love just for people. I think like my my way of loving extends beyond, I think, the human. I think I have like deeply romantic relationships with trees and like plants. And so um yeah, so even in a situation sometimes I can be like, no, this like, what is the most kind choice I can make for this tree, and that's the one I'll do. Yeah, I think that's how it translates. So if I'm like making a map, what is the most loving option of how I can show this, forest or show this community's home on this map. Yeah.
What's one moment of queer joy or creative freedom that you hold close?
I don't know. I feel like maybe I haven't had like a huge momentous moment. I think there have been lots of little moments. I think coming to Goa maybe was like one of those big. I mean, maybe not coming to Goa, but eventually kind of finding community in Goa. Uh, a lot of the people I've met, including you, in the space, I think those have been really defining in terms of, I think, uh, okay, so it's not really a moment so much as a over time like building of community that has felt really like safe to question a lot of things that maybe I didn't have space to question
Mm.
early on. I think like growing up in the kind of school I did and the kind of environment I generally did, uh, like a lot of things, including queerness, were maybe either really, really looked on as something that you like. It was like a joke almost,
Mm.
and or like it was something that you got bullied for, and yeah. So I think it was a space where I didn't ever really think about even questioning it. Like it was, we don't have this conversation with ourselves. But yeah, I think that like coming to Goa, not just in terms of queerness, but in general, like the ability to kind of like meeting people while I was here, building a sort of community of people, which was so much more conscious. I think that when you're in school and stuff, it's kind of you just, you're like surviving. So you're making friends with whoever's around you, and you're like, we have to have friends. But I think in the last few years, at least, I've realized that I can be really conscious of the people that I pick to be around me. And I think that has been a sort of slow process of joy, is just finding people that allow me to really, I guess, be whoever, like question who I am, question my identity in a lot of ways, but also allow me to kind of change and morph, and like they'll run with it,
Mm.
So yeah, I would say it's, I don't know if it's a moment of like a big moment of joy. I think I'm still like I'm a walker, I go slow and I like the slower process. Yeah.
Who are your people, the ones that remind you it's okay to be exactly who you are?
Okay. Wow, that came so well after my last answer. Who are my people? Okay, I would say like, I mean, I have like people in my family who are extremely just like the people I kind of go to, and like I've grown up with in some ways, who've always been safe spaces. I have somehow always been surrounded by really, really cool women. Like this is something that I've known since I was really young, that I somehow, and maybe this is a bias, but I feel like I've somehow been surrounded by and chosen by some of the best women on the planet. Like they're so good, they're so amazing. And I think uh in the last few years, like I've been through a lot of stuff, and I think like I've seen people kind of come into my life and then have expectations and things not really work out, and then they leave. And it's sort of made me realize that there's also this whole group of people that I've known for so long, who have seen me just like fuck up repeatedly. Am I allowed to say
Yeah.
yeah, okay, cool. Who've
I
like
will mute
seen
it.
me, yeah, that's right. Who've seen me mess up, who've seen me make the worst choices, they've seen me at my best, they've seen me at my worst. And they like, they're still like there, they're still witnessing my life, they're still like rooting for me through the whole thing. And I like, yeah, I would say like that to me has been like such a safe space, such a like, I'm not really someone who loves talking about their life or their feelings and things like that to a lot of people, um because I tend to get swayed a lot by people's opinions.
What are you weaving right now, personally, creatively, and communally?
Yeah, okay, so I think on a personal level, I think I'm coming out of a space where for really long I defined myself by another person or other people. And I think I'm currently in some sort of phase of maybe figuring myself out. And I don't know if it makes sense to say this, but I'm maybe weaving my own identity in some way. Um, and yeah, I think it started off as maybe a really difficult process, almost depressing process of uh, being like, wow, it's been so many years, fairly transformative years with big changes, but I have come out of it really not knowing who I am or what I like when I'm alone, or when there isn't another person that is somehow part of my identity in some way. But yeah, so it started off as a really difficult, almost depressing kind of exploration, uh, where I think I would have moments where I'd be alone and think about, okay, so what do I want to do? What would I like to do with all of this time and all of this space? And not knowing it can be really, really like disconcerting, or going like, okay, actually, I just want to do anything. I don't actually want to read a book or like do something creative or, listen to music. I just want to be. And sometimes that can be really scary, but I think over time it's become a really nice, like almost like making a new friend. Like, I don't know if that's really cheesy to say, but it's been so nice to kind of rediscover parts of me that maybe I had forgotten about, or discover parts of me that I didn't even know existed. And I have to say it, I'm not a terrible person, so that's been really nice. So yeah, I would say personally I'm definitely weaving myself and my identity. um I think creatively, I would say that one of the big spaces of exploration that I've been looking at in the last couple of years has been maps and map making. And I think I've always kind of used maps and made maps for a lot of work that I do. But it's always been from this very technical, scientific kind of perspective. And then I think a couple of years ago, I really got into the idea of like questioning this idea that maps have to be scientific, or that they are scientific at all, the way we're kind of taught they are. And I realized that there's so much creativity and expression that can come into map making when you really think about what you're trying to do when you make a map. And the idea that an idea that I've been exploring a lot is this idea that land is like, it's not just a physical space, it's also an extremely emotional space. And it can hold so much meaning and value and hope for so many people, and it can hold different meanings for different people or different groups of people, and for different, I mean, even for like non-human lives that kind of inhabit it. It can define your identity, it can define how you feel in a particular moment. And yeah, so kind of thinking about how do you or how do I, at least for now, reimagine the way we read maps, reimagine the way we create uh, maps. How do we depict land that has so much meaning in a way that actually reflects some portion of that meaning back to us? Um, I think that's been for me a more personal but professional creative exploration. And I'd say that's also kind of spilled into a lot of maybe the community related work that I am doing and trying to do a little bit more of. Is if this land belongs to all of us and it holds so much meaning for us, then surely we should be the people, or whoever it is that this land belongs to, should be the people who are mapping it, who are representing what it means to them and their dreams or their hope for what happens to this land in the future. And or even say the values of the land that are lost when we transform it. So I think so part of what I think I've been doing in terms of like community work has also been maybe working with people to like a question the way maps are currently made, the way your land is mapped. Like not just taking say a policy map or a land planning map at face value and saying, yeah, this is science, or someone has really unbiasedly made this depiction, but really learning to question that, and then reimagine the way you could maybe represent your own land and your own space, and how can you do that as a community in a way that reflects multiple different perspectives, um, but also kind of brings together a more coherent or more community based idea of what this space means. Yeah, so I think that's part, like that would I'd say, that's what I would say is maybe even the community work I have been doing. Yeah.
What's something you've unlearned that's helped you live more freely?
So I think I've always had this kind of tendency to be a bit of a people pleaser. And I think, like we talked about earlier, I've always sort of felt this need to either get the approval of someone else, or to kind of make choices or decisions based on, everybody around me, and how is, every single person going to be affected by this decision that I'm making. And I think, like, I mean, it's obviously very important to be conscious of the people in your life and the people you care about, but there's also some moments, I think, where it's really important to be conscious of yourself.
Hmm.
And I think what I'm unlearning is, or what I'm learning is, that it's sometimes okay to just make a decision because it makes you happy. And whether it makes you happy in this moment or in the long run, it's the decision that you're going to be happy with. I think that's really important, because I think I've had a lot of, like, I think, uh, relationships in my life where I think I've made so many decisions considering the other person, or being really concerned about the other person. And uh, I've come out of those sometimes feeling like, I didn't really do justice to myself. I really, like, invisibilized myself in that relationship. And um, I, like, when it ends, or when, like, we've kind of moved on, etc., I'm unhappy with the situation, and or like whatever happened. And yeah, so I think it's, like, it's been a process of, I think, learning to, like, listen to myself, learning to kind of uh once in a while remember to put myself and what I want a little bit uh, ahead, or like just consciously kind of take care of myself in a moment versus just do what I think would make everyone else happy. And I think the the weird superficial example that I would give you is that, like, I live with someone, and so we have a lot of shared spaces in the house besides our own rooms. And for a long time I refused to kind of decorate the good. Yeah. Okay, so for a long time I was really hesitant to maybe put any of my sort of weird knickknacks, or like whatever strange art that I want to put up in my house in like a shared space, because I was so conscious of, what if he doesn't like it, what if it doesn't fit with his aesthetic, or he's like a little awkward if he brings a friend over and they're like, wow, that's like a really weird painting. Why is it up in your house? um but I think we talked about it, and I really thought about it a lot also, about the fact that it's also my home, and it also has to feel like my home. And if it would make me happy to have like a weird jugaad bookshelf that I've made out of crates, that maybe is not everybody's aesthetic, but it's something that makes me really happy and makes me feel like comfortable and at home, and like this is my space as well, then it's totally worth doing, even if it, like, it doesn't maybe appeal to everybody else. So I think, yeah, I think that just unlearning uh, the need to please everybody, because I don't think you're ever actually going to make everybody happy.
Finish this sentence.
Mm.
This is me and I dot dot dot.
I think this is me and I am here. Yeah, I don't know if it makes complete sense, but I think it's I mean, I'm here physically obviously, but I think it connects to a lot of the things we talked about, um in terms of, like, you know I'm like I'm here mentally in, like, home. If home is within me, I'm here uh like physically in this very wonderful space, and in this very wonderful I think community and like life that I've somehow managed to very luckily sneak my way into. Uh, yeah, but I think I'm just here, I'm present, and I'm alive, which is such a great thing. Yeah, I'm
Yay,
here.
thank you, Rhea, for letting us into your world, your heart, and your creative rhythm. You want to introduce what you do and
Yeah,
just tell
sure.
people? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Rhea, and I trained as an ecologist and conservation scientist, and then I got a little more into policy and advocacy related work. I work with rivers primarily, and I'm with an organization called Vedatam, which does advocacy and outreach work about rivers across India. I live in Goa and love doing place based work, so I do. Some amount of work with rivers and river fisheries in Goa as well. Yeah, I think I also like I love expressing creatively, and so I write. Um, I do like outreach and talks and things like that. And I think one thing that has sort of been constant through a lot of the work that I do, all of the work that I do, has been maps and making maps. And I would love to be able to call myself a map maker in some capacity. I think through anything, whether it's research, whether it's policy or advocacy work, or even say environmental movements that I've been part of. I think, and art and creative expression. I think maps have been a really big part of that. So yeah, I think that broadly covers who I am and what I do.
To everyone tuning in, thank you for listening, feeling, and being here. Keep creating, keep becoming, and always live heart first. See you next time on hashtag This Is Me.
Yay!